Hey guys, as you can see, I'm not on the Appalachian Trail. Well, you can't see that. You don't know where I'm at. I'm at my house again. And a few weeks ago, we did an interview with Moana, who was from Hawaii. And she fell into the same category that this guy in front of me falls into. And that was, she got injured and she had to get off the trail. And I've not interviewed very many people like that. And I met Andrew. His first name is Andrew. I'm gonna let him tell you his trail name in a minute. And I met Andrew and I've asked him if he would do the same thing, let me talk to him or hear his story about what it feels like if you come out here and get injured. Because everybody that's ever got injured, I brought them to a bus station, put them on a bus, and I never saw them again, basically. So I thought it would be very interesting for our channel to hear from somebody that come out here and now they're not completing the trail, but find out what their thought process is now that they're going home at this stage of the game. So Andrew, give us your trail name first of all.
My trail name became Spigot.
Spigot, how'd you get that name?
Because I'm always focused on finding the water holes.
Okay.
And loading up on water. So
And
that
that's
was always
important.
my priority.
That's important out here. So
Yes, it is.
Spigot's a good name. And by the way, I've never had a spigot before. So you're the first spigot that I've interviewed. All right, tell me a little about when you came out here, what your thought process was, and then what happened.
I arrived mid-March, the 17th. I was hiking the trail, and what drew me to the Appalachian was just pure curiosity. I just wanted to see what it was all about, and I wanted to experience the trail as much as I could, and I was not disappointed. It was a wonderful hike through Georgia, North Carolina, up to about Virginia.
Now let me stop you there and just ask you to tell our audience, because I know your background and you've had a connection with hiking, so that stemmed your interest.
Yeah, so back home I teach outdoor education in the outdoors a lot, teaching skills for pre-service teachers and in-service teachers. So hiking and backpacking was something that is always an interest for me, as is anything in the outdoors, from canoeing to kayaking. So this seemed like a natural fit. The curiosity was genuine, and I wanted to experience the AT.
And you'd heard about the AT because you actually hiked on some of the AT, I believe, and never hiked on it, but you heard about it.
I heard about it a long time ago, and it was a fleeting discussion, but then COVID closed a lot of opportunities down for people in my part of the world, but then it opened up more opportunities, and then I started to discover there was longer trails beyond Nova Scotia, and the AT came back into the thinking process, and the curiosity was sparked again, and then the plan started to unfold over a couple of years.
And you are from Nova Scotia. You grew up there.
Yes.
And you grew up hiking and kayaking and all of that. So I can see the tie-in with the Appalachian Trail. Okay, so you came out here, and I know that you got hurt. Tell us how that happened, maybe. And I know you got hurt right at almost the 500-mile mark.
Yeah. My last couple of days on the trail, an injury started to present itself, and it was unfortunate.
With your knee?
With my knee, and it really hobbled me to a point where I had to make some hard decisions about, do I stay, do I continue? So I decided to zero up on white top and spend some time just seeing if recovery would help. I wanted to go a little bit further with the time that was afforded to me, but it became clear and evident that pushing further wasn't sexy.
And I met you up there one morning. I saw your tent up there, and I said, well, this guy's picked a nice spot to camp last night. And I walked over and introduced myself, and that's when you told me that you felt an injury and you wanted to take a day or two to figure it all out and see if it would work, so maybe you could continue. And then we worked out something that I would be back there later that day, and then the next day. And then so you and I you started hanging out with me in the truck doing trail magic, giving your legs some time to rest again.
Yes.
And I told you that day, I'll never forget it, you picked a fine spot to take a break. That was a beautiful spot.
Yeah, the logic was, one, if I'm going to sit somewhere and take some time to see if a little bit of healing could happen. I had $1 million view.
And
So,
6 days of food, you told me.
6 days of food, so I was more than fine to be, perched where I was.
You had water just 100
Point
feet
two,
away,
yeah,
or point two
point
away.
Point two away. But the other logic was I was at a parking lot
Yeah.
with cell service, so things weren't going to get better. I was going to work on a shuttle back into Damascus, and then from there, if things weren't working out, then I was going to.
And you and I met, and like I said, he stayed, Andrew stayed with me several days. I don't remember how many days we stayed together, but what was interesting for me is he didn't know me from anybody else, and he trusted that I would be there, and he stayed there, and he tells me later he knew I was coming back. But when we got in the truck together, he was intrigued with the trail magic part of this.
Yeah, I always find that people come together in unfortunate or fortunate situations, and in reflection, this was a fortunate situation because spending time with Jimmy allowed me to see a whole other dimension to the trail that I don't think many hikers are afforded. And it was special to be able to travel the trailhead, see hikers come out, hear their stories, receive a cold drink or a snack, and to see just how much joy that brought them. And it was a privilege to be a part of that. Even if it was just a small part on my end, it was still a real privilege.
Well, you helped me a bunch because I would get involved in interviewing people, and Andrew just jumped right in there. He knew how to do, he acted like he'd been doing this 20 years. He knew exactly what to grab, what to offer them, tell them what they need to know, and it fit us so well because you helped me out a bunch because I couldn't be doing, usually I believe was with me, and she would be taking that role, but I believe was in Louisiana getting ready for her mother's 100th birthday, and so you became my assistant, I guess I could say, and did a great job, a fantastic job. In fact, I could turn it over to you today and then I could quit doing this, just let you take care of that. But you and I have talked off camera about not finishing what some people would say they come out here to do. Tell me your thought process now that you're getting ready to fly back to Canada after hiking almost 500 miles on the Appalachian Trail.
Yeah, I was okay with the decision to end when I ended for a variety of reasons. One, I was not certain what was going on with my knee. I didn't feel it was sensible to push and maybe do permanent damage. The other part was I just wanted to experience the trail. I just wanted to go as far as I could go. And my health was more important than the next mile. And I wanted to make sure that I was healthy enough to continue on with life. The trail will always be here.
Yes, yes.
And if anything, I'm motivated to come back and do another section, do another stretch. But the time, just to sort of loop around, the time spent with you taught me more about the trails in another way than I could have ever have learned in the next 10 miles or next 100 miles or 1,000 miles. So, if anything, the time spent in these few days with you has motivated me to come back to experience the next section.
And you and I believe had a time today to kind of talk with me over there listening, and that was interesting to watch that.
Yeah.
Seemed like you'd really enjoyed that time talking packs and all the stuff that AT hikers talk together about.
Yeah, you quickly realize that a lot of us are the same, but we're unique. And it was interesting to look at different pictures and to hear different experiences that are around those pictures. And just the stories, they just build on one another. One flows into the next story, And you really quickly realize, even though I don't know the people that I believe is speaking about, and she doesn't know some of the people that I'm speaking about, the stories are so relatable. Because we've experienced them and we can understand what each other is trying to share, as you can relate to our stories as well, because you've heard so many of them over the years.
Now, tell me, if I made you narrow it down to one thing, what's the best thing about you having come out here on the trail? When you got on the trail and the time you got off of the trail, that time frame, what's the best thing about having spent that time?
On the trail?
Yes.
I was humbled on the trail. The AT is humbling.
Okay.
You can come here as prepared and as skilled and as fit as you want.
Now you see that as the best thing?
Yeah.
Being humble.
It really just lays level the world for you. And what your part is, and it really shows you what you can do and where you need to be reasonable in what you can do. So that wasn't a bad lesson. That was a very good lesson to learn.
Now let me ask you something. I told you this, and you acted a little surprised. You're in a small percentage of people. You only took 1 0 in 500 miles.
Yes.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And you told me later maybe you should have taken more, but
Yes.
you felt strong enough that you never did really feel like you needed one. Other than
No.
that,
I just wanted to keep on the trail. I just wanted to keep away from the towns. The town experience was logistically challenging, but I found more enjoyment being on the trail than I did in town, so that's where I preferred to be. So I did the narrow thing,
right? You did that, which was smart.
but in hindsight, maybe a
A few more zeros may have helped you.
Would have been helpful.
We never know. Now, somebody watching this that's going to hike next year, let's just say a person's watching this and they fall into the same thing that happened to you. How does the human mind help you comprehend the injury?
Lay out your priorities. When I was sitting and thinking through what my next steps were going to be, it always came back to my health. The trail was not more important than my health.
Okay.
Because if I'm healthy, I can come back and enjoy the trail. If I push, I may never be able to come back to the trail or do other things that I want to do.
Yeah, injure yourself to where it may be more permanent
That's
damage.
correct. Yeah.
Well, you've got a very positive attitude. It's been a great experience for me being around you. I've learned a lot about Canada, for one thing, and your experiences with kayaking and canoeing and all of that. But I really appreciate your positiveness in the midst of what some would call a disaster. You're not going home having completed all of the trail, but I know just from talking to you that you're going to have memories to the day you die of the months that you've been out here.
Oh, absolutely. And between beautiful views and coming to understand what I was curious about, I'm still curious. If anything, I'm more curious. But it comes back to, I met some wonderful people, from you right to individuals I met right from the start. And I wish them the best.
Some of the names you want to throw out, just some of the guys. I know you called several names.
I met a Quebec trio, JF, Sam, Jean-Francis. They were a wonderful group.
Which you met Jim and Patty, the ones
Jim
that I
and
was
Patty,
having.
R&R, which was wonderful. A young man named Magic who will stay in my heart and in my mind for many, many years. Intel, another interesting young man. He's just so driven, and he was inspiring. You know, and others like Rhodey and Strider. Just a
lot of people.
A whole collection of people that are just wonderful.
And you're going to have those in your mind, and he could go on and on, because I know he remembers a lot more than I remember from day to day. Well, again, it's been a great opportunity for me to get to know you better. I'm glad my viewers are getting to hear your story. It's a little different story than some of the others sometimes, but I think it's a story that's needed to be told. Now I'm going to just simply ask you, like I always ask everybody, who do you want to say hello to as we get ready to sign off?
Well, that's easy. My family, Alec and Zachary, and my wife, Janice. They've been watching from afar, and I'm looking forward to getting home and meeting them. And just in a closing statement, I know this sounds, I don't know if this sounds crazy or not, but the highlight was the end. Being with you and learning about the trail. That was a highlight.
Well,
So
thank you
for that, Jimmy.
Thank you for those words, and God bless every step you take in life from now to the day you die. And hopefully when you come back to do the next section, I'm still around and we can try to slack back your day.
That'd be great.
Thank you.
Thank you.